time for a little Funky Friday. From their funky hidden headquarters, your hosts, Keith and Gary. Not Jay.
Well, happy Friday and happy Halloween weekend to everybody. Keith's not here quite yet. He's doing errands for his pop. And as soon as he's done, he will show up. Of course, we still have trusty old Dust Wolf in here, John, who already did a show this morning. I heard it was fun. You were gaming, got your ass kicked on Baldur's Gate. And of course, Martina Costa Santana, our Lord of Dance from Mexico. And then, of course, the lovely and amazing Richard Dyszel. Oh, those of us who know him call him Dick. And we love you so much. And it's so amazing. You know, I've had such a blessed life because I've gotten to know the artist who inspired me and became friends with him. He was my teacher too, Drew Struzan from Star Wars and Indiana Jones and all that. And I've gotten to meet so many of these guys, and then I got to meet you. And you, along with one other person, inspired me from the region. You and Arch Campbell. I'm sure you remember Arch Campbell.
Oh, I know. Yes. Arch and I go back way too long.
Because he was a big fan of independent films.
Yes,
and he had his Arch Campbell Homegrown Film Festival. And between the two of you, it inspired me to go in the directions that I went to with entertainment. And sadly, I went to film school, dropped out because I realized, oh, you're not going to really teach me anything. And I also discovered working in film, I don't like people.
That could be a problem.
I know, it presented one. So that's why I ended up doing comic books, because I'm like, I can work alone. I don't have to work with these weird people. And but I still get a hankering for it. And I do write. And you inspired a lot of that, Dick. So much of it. But you did two things during my childhood. Was Captain 20.
Yes.
For WDCA Channel 20. Every morning before school, we'd watch you in the afternoon. And then on Saturdays, you did Creature Feature as Count Gore Duvall. It took me a while to figure out it was you.
Well, you know what? The secret was in 1977 when both Captain 20 and the Count grew a mustache.
Yes. In fact, hold on. Let me get that picture. I've got a picture of you with the mustache. I love that picture. Here we go. Let me load it up. You at the famous painting, and you still have this painting at your house there.
Oh yeah.
There it is.
Well, that famous painting was given to me in 1975 by Eleanor Herman, who was a junior high student at the time. The story was very simple. She wrote me a letter, and she said, "My mother would like to paint a portrait of you, and there'll be no cost. We need two things. One, we need a picture that she could use as a model. And two, I need to present it to you on your show." Okay. I thought this was a crank. So I found a kind of a small snapshot that was kind of out of focus of the Count at a personal appearance someplace. And I sent it to her and forgot about it. Several months later, I get a phone call and it's Eleanor saying, "Well, we're ready with the portrait. When can we come on the show?" And I go, "Okay, why not? What have I got to lose?" So this ravishingly beautiful young lady comes up. She shows up with her mother, who is actually the artist, and this portrait. And it's a full-blown oil portrait in a purposely decrepit old frame. And that's when I learned that the mother was Lorraine Stoffenherman, who was the official portrait artist for the state of Maryland. She did all the governors and all the officials and all the rest of the stuff. And this was a big deal portrait. And the whole thing was to get Eleanor, who wanted to be an actress and a celebrity, to be on the show. So we put her on the show, and I got the portrait. It worked out for me.
That's fantastic. I love that story. Whatever happened to the young lady?
Oh, Eleanor has become very famous on her own right. She did some acting. She's a linguist. She knows about 6 or 7 languages to boot. She did some work. I don't know exactly what she did for a bunch of years. She kind of disappeared, but she shows up in pictures with, some Russian officials and some presidents, and she was out there diplomaticking something. But then she became an author, and she's very good. She has like 6 or 7 books out. She researches them herself. And she spends a lot of time in Europe, going to libraries, digging through old musty things. She likes doing, and she's very humorous. Oh my gosh, Mistress of the Vatican was the one that comes to mind, where she actually went into the Vatican archives and dug up who was sleeping with which popes. She did Off with Her Head, which is a story of famous, powerful women who maybe got a bit too powerful and lost their heads over it. She likes a lot to deal with royalty in Europe. She actually comes from royal stock. She traces herself back through several generations of nobility, and then she's got a couple of books that have been optioned for movies. And right now she's doing something different, and I'm hoping to see her tomorrow night at my appearance at the AFI and to find out what the hell she's really up to.
That's what I'm curious. I'm going to ask you on Facebook. I'll send you a message.
Sure, yeah.
I'm really curious what she's doing now, because it's such a great story that, and I want to point out another one. You had a guy on that built R2D2s, full-size R2D2s.
Oh, yeah.
I loved that episode you did. I loved it.
Tim Pace. Matter of fact, Tim was interesting. He worked as a sound and stage technician for, I don't remember the name of the big venue. I don't think it exists anymore, and did a lot of prop building and stuff. In his backyard, he had a full-scale mock-up replica. Not mock-up. It was a full-scale replica of the space shuttle Galileo from Star Trek. He would go around and he would, find, go to surplus auctions that NASA had, gets all this electronic stuff, and he built R2D2. And he built a whole robot band. When I left 20. I gave him my old coffin. I said, "Here, I don't have any need for it." So he had the coffin and used it in various incarnations. And in 1999, when we did the Millennial Show, the December 31st, 1999, I borrowed the coffin back from him. So things go around and come around. It's like karma.
What are you using now on the show?
Oh, I've got a friend. I can't go into too much detail on the story, but for some obvious reasons. But I had just started my internet show back in '98, and this guy found me, and he said, I love your show, but you need a coffin. I said, well, I had one, but I gave it up. And he said, would you like another one? And I said, sure. And this was in 2000. And he said, well, I have access to a really nice solid maple coffin, and it's yours if you come pick it up. Needless to say, I drove and picked it up. And
yeah, you don't turn down something like that.
When he told me what the retail price of it was, I almost fell over. And it had been defective and it was rejected for sale, and I ended up getting it.
Wow. So yeah, because I know you've got a casket on the show now, and its set looks almost identical to what it was when you were on TV.
Well, yeah.
But I do want to point out, because we got people rolling in. Jim Woodward is here. There's Jim, good old Jim, my childhood, one of my childhood best friends, and he grew up on YouTube. He was trying to be here. He wanted to join the show, but he had to go on a trip to family, and he wasn't able to get on. So I was like, this sucks. And I'm still hoping my buddy Mike Beatty is going to be able to make it, though, when it was in the FBI. And we just grew up on you, and we talk about the shows. And, Richard is, of course, beloved horror host, Count Gore, as well as, of course, Captain 20. Live long and prosper.
Yes, may be happy when lots of prizes, space buddies. This is Captain 20.
Yeah, you had the hair and you had the pointed, big, giant Vulcan ears, and it was great. And
well, you know what? You know why I did that? Did I ever tell you the story of why they came about?
No, because I was getting ready to ask you, because I wanted to know, one, how did your relationship start with WDCA Channel 20?
Well, it had nothing to do with either of those two characters. Let's just cut it right there.
Yeah, let's get.
Bozo brought me to Washington. I did Bozo for 5 years on the air. I mean, I was doing a show in Paducah, Kentucky, and it was a very successful show. We did an hour live Bozo show every day. And but I was burned out because I was not only doing that, but I was doing the count. I was doing news. I was doing personal appearances. I was working 7 days a week, putting in 100-hour work weeks. And I got burned out and I quit. And I went to Larry Harmon Picture Corporation. I actually went to the guy who trained me as Bozo and said, Doug, when I come back, I went to Europe. I'm going to go bum around Europe for a couple months and chill out. And well, he said, I said, I want a job when I come back in a major market as Bozo. He said, okay, sure. What else do you want? The lotto numbers? I go, yeah, I'll take those too. Anyway, a couple of days later, he calls and said, how would you like to go to Washington, D.C.? And I said, sure. Well, as soon as I get back from Europe, he goes, no, they need you next week. And I go, nope. And I turned it down. And so we ended up talking and finally negotiated almost a little over 3 weeks. So I came back and I did Bozo. The show, they had a show. It was not doing well. So we started over again. And in a couple of months, I had it up and running and it was very successful. Now, that being said, they had me under a union contract. And the union contract was as a staff announcer, which meant that they could have me do anything that they wanted as far as performance goes. Without any extra pay or without any extra compensation. Mm. So Bozo gets on the air and they said, oh, by the way, we've had this character for a long time called Captain 20, and he's an astronaut. And we had this costume and we would like you to do Captain 20. And I said, what, does he have a show? And they go, no, he's just a promotional character. He drops in between the cartoons and promotes the station and runs contests. And they had gerbil race contests at the time. And I was really not happy with any of this because I was trying to get the count on the air. And they said, no, we're not interested in any vampires. We want the captain. So this was 1972. The space program was kind of winding down because we already landed on the moon. And so people were starting to lose interest in it. I said, well, look, instead of having it as an Earth astronaut, besides the costume wouldn't fit me. The previous Captain 20 was 5'6" and I'm 6'1". So forget it. So I said, well, let's make him an alien and let's make him so I said, I like Spock. I was a big Star Trek fan. And so I said, I'll get some ears and purple hair and we'll make this costume. And so we made him an alien. And that's how he came about.
That's interesting. But you had already created the Count previously?
Well, I created a vampire character. We called him MT Graves, not knowing that there was an MT Graves in Miami. And actually, the name for the character was what kind of delayed things. The general manager didn't want to do it, period. And then we talked him into doing it. And he said, I don't like the name MT Graves. I find out later because he had a part-time residence in Miami and he was aware of MT Graves in Miami and he didn't like him. So we argued and bantered back and forth. And finally, we ended up, I was in his office. It was a small office, and I was standing right next to his desk. And there's a wall right behind me. I could barely fit between the desk and the wall. And he said, we just need a new name. I said, Milt, what do you want? He said, well, something with gore in it. And I said, fine, Count Gore. How's that? And he goes, That's pretty good. But we need more. And I'm going, what the hell more do you want? And I turned around, looked at the wall. I said, well, damn, how about something off the wall? How about Duvall? How about Duvall? How about Count Gore Duvall? And he goes, I like it. We'll go with it. And that's how the name came about.
That's how it came about. And of course, you did run into some hot water with Gore Duvall.
Not at all.
Oh, I thought he had problems with it.
Nope. No, actually, it's kind of funny. Gore Vidal evidently had no sense of humor. I say that because I never met the man, but I as a representative of the station, I went to a lot of cocktail parties around Washington where, I was a station representative and people would tell me, Gore is really not a big fan of yours. I go, I don't care. I know nothing about the man. I never read any of his work. I did not take the name. As a matter of fact, to be honest with you, and as I told everyone that would listen, I probably used the name because every day on the way to work, I passed the Duvall funeral home. So that was a constant reminder, and it was related to funerals and bodies and death and vampires. And so no, he never said anything to me. I never said anything to him. Ironically, earlier this year, 2023, I got an email from the person who's currently the head of the Gore Vidal estate saying how much they enjoy the show and that they really don't mind that I ripped the name off of. I said, I didn't, but that's okay.
That's okay, right? And you, of course, you have because look, Metro DC area is huge because you were all the way into Virginia and Maryland.
Oh, down into the Carolinas on cable.
Yeah, because we, everybody I knew that I was friends with watched your show, and we'd always talk Monday morning, first in the morning in school, what was on that Saturday and what guests you had on, and we always loved it when you had sexy girls on. We're like, ooh.
I was going to say, you probably had some great conversations when I had the Penthouse girls on. I mean,
it was great. It was great.
I always had great conversations when I had the Penthouse girls on.
When because I went to Maury Elementary there in Fredericksburg, and we had those big stone concrete steps out in front of the football field. And every morning we'd be out there talking about it Monday morning, what you had on that weekend. And that or any movie we went to see that weekend too at the matinee. Because just all my friends were all cinephiles. We loved science fiction and horror. And so, growing up on you really, I think that also led to me having a bit of a twisted sense of humor because of this show.
Good.
I was well on the way with my own dad, who had a messed up sense of humor, but watching you had that. And there was just so many programs. But WDCA Channel 20, and I had one of those TVs with the UHF dial on it in my room, and I'd watch you in my room, my little Hitachi TV, little tiny thing, about a 5-inch screen. And but we, as things changed, did WDCA Channel 20 even last, or what did they become?
Well, yeah, it's interesting. Well, okay. 20 was owned by Superior Tube Company, who funded the founding of it. Milt Grant was the driving force. He was basically a salesman. He worked at Channel 5. He was also an on-air talent at Channel 5. He had a rock and roll radio show. He was the Dick Clark of Washington for a while. But his thing is he was a really good salesman, and he wanted to put his own TV station on the air. So he got this company who had nothing. They made stainless steel tubing. So they bought this. They gave them money. He put the station on the air and ran it until late 1970s. And then Milt wanted to get out, and he was trying to sell the station to the Tribune Company in Chicago, from what I understand. And then Taft Broadcasting came in and said, you know what, we could use a station in Washington because we're contemplating putting on kind of a mini network. And we could use that as the news center for the network. So that's what happened. He ended up getting out, and Taft took over the company in 1979-80. I survived the transition. I find out later by the skin of my teeth and by Captain 20, actually.
Right. The before school and after school character, right?
Yeah. I was told, and I don't know if this is true, that the general manager, the new program director didn't want me on the station because she wanted to have her own staff that were beholden to her. It's their toy. They want to play with their own people. Okay, I understand this. I was perfectly prepared to be fired. And she had finally talked the general manager, who had just moved from Ohio, and brought his family with him. His kids had just started school. And he had a little kid, I guess he was about 6 years old. And anyway, so he agreed to that on Monday I could be fired. Okay. So he goes home on Friday night. His son comes in, and his dad says, well, son, how's school? And the kid was really excited. He says, this is so great. I am the star of my class because my dad works for Captain 20. and Captain 20 is so cool. And I know Captain and my dad knows Captain 20. And oh my God, I just told him that he could be fired on Monday. Evidently, there was a phone call made that night, and I was not fired on Monday. And I got.
What year was that?
That would have been like 1979, 1980, somewhere that transition.
Wow. That would have been devastating to a lot of us.
Me too.
Yeah, you financially.
Well, I wasn't. Look, bottom line is 20 was the low end of the totem pole here. I mean,
yeah, it was UHF. It was not one of the major local networks, because you had Channel 4, was NBC, Channel 5, and
Metro Media.
Because what's his name? Maury Povich had his show Panorama on Channel 5.
Yeah.
He was a local guy back then.
It was owned by a company called Metro Media, which was kind of a mini network of local stations. And they eventually were bought by Fox. Yeah.
But those were the three channels that we
watched. 4, 5, 7, and 9. On the U band, you had channel 26, which was PBS.
PBS, right.
Or public broadcast, yeah, probably. And then you had Howard University was, I think, 22. But we were the only UHF commercial. And we got no respect from the other commercial stations.
Of course not.
We were the low price spread. I mean, I would go to these cocktail parties, and I would go hang out in the corner because no one would talk to me. Arch Campbell was one of the few nice guys.
Oh, he was great.
Matter of fact, he came over to the station in 70, I think it was 75, and did a piece on Creature Feature that actually ran 3 times on Channel 4 because it was a slow news weekend. And it was great. And that's when Arch and I became friends. Besides, I had him locked in the coffin.
2 cinephiles, you had to become friends.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we have. He believes in little theater and independent films as
Absolutely.
I did. I mean, I used to show independent films on the program. People would come up and say, I made a 16 millimeter film, and I'd say, bring it over. Let's see if we get what it's like. And if it wasn't porn, I would probably put it on. Matter of fact, the way I got involved with the Alien Factor was Don Dohler was saying that he made a bunch of filmmakers were making a feature film in Baltimore. And I said, well, let's talk about your feature film because I'm big into independent films. So, yeah.
And that was the thing about you and Arch Campbell. Is Arch Campbell still with us?
Is Arch what?
Is Arch Campbell still with us?
Oh yeah. Matter of fact, this weekend he's in Texas with his golfing buddies down there. they go down every so often to the southern climes. He is originally from Texas, and
I got to tell you, that's on my bucket list, is to have both of you, on my show. And I've got to reach out to him because I loved Arch Campbell growing up. You and him, the two indie guys, and it made me want to be a filmmaker.
Yeah. Well,
and just so you know, I've worked in film. I've worked with Bruce Campbell, Josh Becker, all because of the passion that you two gave me as a kid. And it's sort of like, yes, I lost my taste for working with actors and some of the people behind the scenes because they were just like, I'd look at them, I'm like my own family. It's like, if I weren't related to you, I'd have nothing to do with you. And I discovered the same thing with filmmakers or some of the people I worked with. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to find a way to tell stories without having to work with people like this. But my work in comic books, in fact, I'd like to put you in one of my comic books. And I can ask you right now, would you be cool if I put you in one of my comic books?
I do have a regular request. And I'll tell you, I found out DC Comics, they did the Fantastic Four, right?
Yep. No, that's Marvel.
Oh, Marvel. Okay, so it's Marvel. It was Marvel. I knew it was DC. It was Fantastic Four. So, a friend of mine, the Bone Jangler in Aurora, Illinois, he's a horror host, and he also has a comic shop. And he says, "Hey, Dick, you're in the latest episode of the issue of the Fantastic Four." Okay.
When was this?
Let's see, this would have been, I was in Chicago at the time, so it would have been probably early 2000s.
Wow.
And I said, well, tell me about it. He says, well, they've got this backstory on one of the characters, and they have him as a little kid watching Count Gore Duvall on television, and they use your name and a illustration of you. And I go, he said, did they ask you? And I go, no. He goes, oh, you're going to make lots of money. And I go, I doubt it. So I contacted, by the way, I should go back to when I left that office after settling the name, I went out of my office. I wrote up a letter that acknowledged that I created the name, I created the character, I own the character, I own the name, and I own all the intellectual property rights that I'll be producing for the station. And they signed off on it. So I owned the character. So anyway, I contacted a friend of mine who is a lawyer, and I said, well, look, I don't want to spend a lot of money on this. Can we send them a letter? And he said, yeah, we can send them we figured it out. We sent Marvel a letter, and with my demands, which were really, very, very minor. I said, it would have been nice if you had asked, but since you've done it, what I would like is an acknowledgement that, one, the character is mine, and somewhere in there that it's trademarked, and two, that my URL, countgore.com. And that was it. And they never responded. But within several months later, I guess it was on the next printing, I did have the acknowledgments that I asked for at the back of the magazine.
Yeah, so they did it, but they just never told you anything or said anything to you. Well, if I would do it, I would ask for your permission, and I would definitely put that in there. And it would be pretty much the same thing. I would have one of my characters watching you.
That's fine. You've got my blessing. You can record this now and put it on. That's
okay. We have record.
There you go. We had talked about the legal people said, you could sue them. You could win. You could have. You would win. It would take you 10 years and about $50,000, and you wouldn't get that money back. So
you would lose the money, and it would be a negative deal. But it would have set a precedent. And but is that worth it?
No, it wasn't. I mean, because I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I do this because I enjoy it, not because it's gonna make me rich. Unfortunately.
See, for me, when I do stuff like that, one, it's my way of touting people that I love. putting them. And I do. I actually have celebrities in my books. A lot of times they sign a likeness agreement usually. But with this, I would do it, and I know that you're different. But these are guys that are movie actors, TV actors, like from Battlestar Galactica. Kurt Yeager from Sons of Anarchy is the lead character in one of my books. He actually said, "Make me the lead character."
There you go.
It's like being in a movie without actually having to show up.
I should say that sometime after that, I got an email from the actual illustrator who actually put me in the comic.
Oh.
Apologizing. He said, I've been a longtime fan. I grew up in Washington.
He put you in there. That's what it is.
And he said, they said, you're watching something, so I put you in. And I said, that's fine. I appreciate that. It would have been nice if someone had said, would you? I mean, you look at my IMDb. I mean, I've been in a number of movies as an actor, but a lot of the movies listed in there are just drop-ins where people ask for permission and someone is watching a show and I'm on the TV. Fine. It's a little publicity. I'll take that.
Absolutely. And it's funny, there's another connection here that I found interesting is from NBC again, NBC affiliate there. Because like I knew everybody. We lost Jim Vance this year, which was really sad.
Oh, yes.
And because he was one of my favorite journalists on TV. But another big name was Willard Scott.
Oh, Willard, yes.
From NBC affiliate there in DC. And both of you started out as Bozo.
Yes, that is true. And Willard and I would get together at funerals and other union events because we were both active in AFTRA, and we would tell funny stories about our days as Bozo. The main difference between the two of us and Bozo was Willard took on Larry Harmon, and I didn't. Part of the contract with Larry Harmon Picture Corporation is the station was the person who played Bozo was not permitted to say that that's what they did, because there's only one Bozo, and there's not different people playing him. And Willard just threw that out the window, and then he went on and tried to create his own clown he tried to get Bozo as the McDonald's clown, and they didn't go. And then he said, well, I'll do my own clown, and that's so much for Ronald McDonald. And Larry Harmon and Willard Scott didn't get along well. Frankly, Larry Harmon and me didn't get along well.
I heard he was a bit of a jerk from other people who've worked with him.
He had a very high sense of himself. Let's just put it that way. He would come to town once a year, and he would read me the riot act of why the show didn't look like what was in the production manual. And I said, Larry, well, it's real simple. It's a half-hour show, not an hour show. I don't have any side characters, so I don't have any skits. I can't afford an orchestra like they have in Chicago. Other than that, it would be just like your show. Yeah, it's like so.
Everything but.
Yeah. So we turned it. Look, we use the recent. I've always been kind of a MacGyver kind of guy. I find out what my assets are, what I have to work with, and I try to maximize the uses of them. And we had access to a lot of toys because our sales department, because we have of Captain 20 and our programming, we'd have a lot of commercials for Hasbro and companies like that, and they would send us product and we could give it away. So we turned Bozo into a kid's game.
You had, I got to tell you, man, even on Captain when you were Captain 20. Great giveaways. I never got anything, but God, I loved the stuff you would do on the show. Cool toys, things like that. I mean,
we had great stuff to give away, and it was fun. Once we got into the club card thing with Captain 20, I started to enjoy it.
And I joined the club. Oh, it was great.
Well, what I liked about that is that when the first prize for the club card was a trip to Disney World for Christmas in Disney World. That was the prize, and Captain 20 got to go. Okay. Yeah. Actually, it was kind of fun because we actually went down to Disney before then because Disney was involved. I don't know. I still don't understand how they got Disney to do this. because we're a local station, but they ended up having a film crew out there. We went down there, and for 2 days we shot around the park on 16 millimeter sound film. We didn't get to see a lot of the footage. They did some of the footage they didn't let us keep because, you know, they didn't want to have any bloopers, because this is Disney. There are no bloopers. Yeah, we had a good time, and by that point I enjoyed Captain 20. Actually, the funny thing is, in 77, I'd been on the air for 5 years with Bozo, and I was getting kind of tired of it. It was very repetitious, and I could see the handwriting on the wall that we're going to have to do more educational and informational stuff, because that's the way the political winds were blowing. And I couldn't see how to do that with Bozo. So I went to Milton. I said, hey, I'll tell you what, instead of sending Larry that check for what you pay him, royalties, you give that to me. Not to me, but give me a budget equal to that, and I'll create a really good show for Captain 20. And he said, that's a good idea. So we canceled Bozo, and he kept the money, and I didn't get a budget. And he said, now make a show.
So you found a way to screw Larry Harmon. I like that.
Well, I don't know if I screwed. There were shows were dropping like flies. I mean, Bozo had kind of worn its welcome out. I mean, really. I mean,
it sort of died out in the 80s. You know, by the time the 80s came, it just, kids weren't watching it anymore. Yeah, I mean, and you had the big show in Chicago, and Bob Bell was I got to know Bob. I went up there, and I mean, the show had 3 studios dedicated to it. They had a complete orchestra dedicated to the show. But even in the 80s, they went down to 1 studio. And instead of having several hundred kids, they were down to 100 kids. Instead of having an orchestra, they had a small combo, and eventually one guy on a keyboard. So you can see, even in Chicago, which inspired Krusty the Clown, by the way.
I'm sure. I've no question. I have no doubt.
No doubts.
Well, you know, Count Floyd, evidently, a lot of people thought that Count Floyd was a ripoff of Count Gore. I mean, seriously.
I wouldn't be surprised about that.
I wouldn't either.
In fact, our good friend in the chat, Kingsport Cal, asked if which came first, Count Gore Duvall or the Count on Sesame Street?
I don't know. I've never thought about that. I mean, the Count on Sesame Street makes sense. I don't think that's a ripoff, because he's doing what they need to do.
He's counting.
Yeah. I mean,
the count.
So, but Count Floyd, people kept telling me, so I finally watched it. I said, yeah, I think, you know, and as far as I'm concerned, you know, imitation is the highest compliment, you know, so I'll take it.
Yeah. The Count on Sesame Street actually started on November 13th, 1972.
72. So it was a press. It was
and Gore started February 3rd, 1973.
Yep. So Tim is the one that's a fan of yours, and he said also seen you are Monster Madhouse too.
Yes. Jerry Moore, Carlos Borloff actually got his start on my show.
What a great name, Carlos Borloff.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And he's a great character, very creative, very creative. He's like so many other horror hosts. He's a musician. He sings, he writes music, he plays guitar. And he's very, very creative. He's great at ad-libbing. I had him on the show when we had just moved back to the DC area, and I was putting together a new studio, and I needed some help, and he came out and he appeared on the show as a contractor. He had also had access to a lot of lovely young ladies, which didn't hurt.
Never hurts.
He wasn't married. I definitely was. So, you know, you funnel him this way. And then he went on to create his Monster Madhouse on Fairfax County Public Access. And I appeared on his show a number of times, and he appeared on my show a number of times. And he still does his show. He's on a bunch of Roku channels and assorted other things. And he's a big monster fan, where I'm more horror sci-fi kind of guy. So, you know.
Yeah. But that's one of the things that was always so cool about you, because you would actually include sci-fi. And that's why you had the guy the prop maker that brought his R2D2 on there.
Yeah.
And I was mesmerized that episode. I was like, I want to build one of those.
Well, I'll be honest with you, and I've acknowledged this a number of times. As Dick Dyszel, I'm a huge sci-fi fan. I mean, as a kid, I cut my teeth. I learned to read Classics Illustrated, and I was reading Jules Verne and H.G. Wells, and then when I got good enough to actually read the novels, I read the novels, and then when the bug movies of the 50s came out, and if there was a rocket in it and a radiation or giant insect, I was in there watching it, and I loved them. And then I liked horror films. I mean, when the Shock Package came out in '57, I was in Chicago watching on WBKB Channel 7 and Marvin, the beatnik horror host. And I loved all those movies. I kind of fell out a little bit with the slasher films. I wasn't a huge fan of them. I appreciated some of usually the first time they came out, and the sequels, not so much. But I mean, I like characters. I like character development. I like story. So there you have it.
Yeah, and I think one of my favorites, by the way, was with Peter Graves. It's such a bizarre film, and what I loved about it was called Beginning of the End. And it takes place in Champaign, Illinois. Well, part of the story is in Champaign, Illinois.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm like, holy crap. And I saw that, I'm like, woo, Champaign, Illinois, But anyway, I wanted to get to our chat because we have a lovely dedicated audience.
Okay.
And we have FKHC 2005, aka Tim, big fan of yours. Andy Morrow from the UK is watching right now. He's over there in jolly old England.
And we had a contributor to my web program from jolly old England for a couple of years. She reviewed anime for us.
Love that stuff.
Stephanie Von Guest, yes.
I like that name too, Stephanie Von Guest.
Lovely young lady.
And here's another lovely young lady. It's the Peter Vinkman fan site. We also know her as Vinkman's Girl on Twitter. She's watching right now. Zach's, my good buddy Kyle, is watching. Dragon Ruse is here. Of course, another good friend of mine that I do work with, Shinatsky, is watching. He works in the film industry. And of course, James Woodward, who grew up in Virginia with me and on your TV shows. Let's see. Deleted Scenes, also known as Stephen. He is in, I believe it's Ohio, right, John? He's in Ohio, right? Or is it Indiana?
So.
It's either Indiana or Ohio. Kingsport Cal is down south. He's a Southerner. Patrick Jordan, who doesn't show with us on Tuesdays, called Morning Coffee with the Chief. He is the retired chief of the Sheriff's Department of Los Angeles. And just a really knowledgeable guy, lovely man. Patrick, and he's a cinephile. And what he does on Tuesdays, you'd like this. He does breakdowns of famous police movies and associates them with the real world and how they blurred the lines of reality with those movies. And he knows a lot about law enforcement. Let's see. We got Small Time Republic is here. Our good friend Penny is here. We love Penny. And of course, the amazing Read by Nature is here. So I want to thank you guys for joining us in the chat. And we have more people joining and watching. And amazingly, a lot of we get a lot of reviews, people that watch the show after it airs. And we usually, just the first weekend, we'll probably end up with a few hundred views on this show. And you watch, there's going to be a flood of people from the region that grew up on you. You watch. I'll get some comments on it too. But we thank you guys for being here. Any comments or questions you have for Mr. Dyszel, please feel free to ask us in the chat. Yeah, send them here. You don't have to do super chats. Just send a question, and I'd love to share your questions with him.
And I will try to be as honest as I can be, and if I can't, I'll at least be entertaining.
Let's be entertaining. I will at least make you laugh. Now, I will tell you, you've got the links, Martine. Here we go. This is your website for people who want to join it. It is countgore.com.
Yes. You see that? You see that right below there? That is a short film. Every 2 weeks we promote another short film. This one is a wild. It's an Ike Interviews God. It's a sci-fi fantasy film. The world is coming to an end, and this insurance adjuster is selected to negotiate with God to avoid the end of the world. It won.
I'm going to be watching this. I got to check this out.
It won numerous awards around the country.
Yeah, I can see the accolades all over the screen there on his image.
I look at it this way. Here's the deal. If you can tell a story, and you can tell a story well in a short period of time, that's tough. I mean, it really is, and I can appreciate that. And I think it's tougher than if you have 90 minutes. As a matter of fact, I'm used to people saying, doing a film, they go, oh my God, it's only 60 minutes long. We've got to pad it out so it's long enough to be a feature. And it just destroys the film. So yeah, I love short films.
Short stories, because one of my favorite books, it was a gift from film director Josh Becker, the guy who did Running Time. He worked on all the Evil Dead films in the special effects department. He bought me this book for my birthday called Sudden Fiction by famous authors. It's like 2 pages, maybe 3 at the tops. Just sudden fiction. It was short stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. And I like writing short stories. I've been writing them since I was a kid. I think the first thing I ever wrote was What's Under the Bed. It was a real nightmare I had. And I think I think short stories are easier than writing the longer story, because writing a 3-act story is difficult sometimes because you run into that situation of padding it out. Whereas all I got to do is focus on the theme, the beginning and the end, and make the point of what the story's about. And I love scary stuff. I love sci-fi, but short stories are amazing. And honestly, and you know this too, they're the best thing to adapt into film than a novel, because you lose so much of the novel in the movie when they make it.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Short stories are easy to turn into films because they're simpler.
Now, I want to say this about we keep talking sci-fi and horror. A lot of times people ask me, what's your favorite horror movie? And I say, I don't have one. And I refuse to actually answer that question, because I once went to a convention that I had been going to for years as myself, as Dick Dyszel. And then I was asked to appear to actually DJ the party afterwards, because at that point I had started a DJ company, which I actually ran for 25 years. And I was doing it as the Count. And I had people all that weekend telling me to get the heck out of there because a vampire has no business at a sci-fi convention. And it was really nasty and rude. And I just didn't believe this. I'm going, yeah, but so I say my favorite, let you know what my favorite scary movie is. Okay. It's Alien. That's sci-fi. Wait a second. Hold it. No, wait a second. That's horror. So which is it? Don't pigeonhole films. If you're dealing with horror, talk about scares, psychological.
There's a lot of cross genre.
Yeah. So I hate this pigeonholing,
I concur. And the wonderful thing about that film, it's also a haunted house film, because that's how he designed it to be. It's like a bunch of people trapped in a haunted house, with the Nostromo. By the way, this is another one here, guys. Share this link, Martine. This is Count Gore Duvall's official, and you can see I'm already subscribed. By the way. That's on our official Pop Culture Minefield account. And the Count's page, you can see his shows weekly. And I don't mean you see it weekly. You see the show every week.
So what we have is 1 week I'll put up a movie, a feature film for 2 weeks that I'm hosting. It'll stay up there for 2 weeks. It's 24/7.
Okay.
And then the next week, I'll do a short for 2 weeks. So there's always either a feature or a new short every week at countgore.com. And then I don't put up shows on YouTube. I'll be very blunt about it. I don't want to play the games with their AI copyright protection.
Right.
I waste too much time. I've gotten picked off for stuff that I've written and actually composed and keyboarded. And
Ditto.
Yeah. So I said, I put promos up there, and they'll let me put up promotion like we're doing Fathom of the Paradise this weekend, and I did a promo up there that had the trailer. They once hit me up saying, well, trailers are copyrighted. And I go, excuse me, we're paying to show this film. We own that copyright. We own that trailer. So, that's different. And they let me go. But if I have to go through this every time I put something up,
they'll do that to you. And that's why YouTube has become very anti-creator in the process. They've become stooges for bullshit claims. And it's why we are pushing to get off YouTube and do more Rumble, because I'm sick to death of this. I'm a composer as well. I do artwork and I do composition. I sell music. I've scored for IDW, the comic book company. I've done a lot of their trailers, and I directed them, I animated them, and I composed the music for them. And I'll play something on this channel right here. Next thing you know, I'm getting a claim against me. I'm like, I own all rights to that music. What are you doing? Yeah, it's ridiculous. YouTube has just become so ridiculous. And I once again, I say this, I believe that it's very anti-creator, which you are a creator, and you create content. And it's just unbelievable how badly we get treated on here. Yeah, but this is your YouTube channel. Again, Martin, did you share that? Yes, you did. Good.
Yeah.
This I'm going to share for shits and giggles because I love this. You're on IMDb. Love that headshot. And
that headshot came from a time when I was a stage hypnotist back in.
Oh my God. Yeah. Cause you look, that's a magician outfit right there, my friend.
Yes. Sleep now. All right, here we go. Oh, look at that. Back it up. There's Bozo. Look at that.
Oh, there you are, Bozo. There you are. Let's go and click on that real quick. Get the pie in the face.
Go back. Go right to the far left.
Far left. This one?
Yeah. That is my first time on Channel 20 as a vampire. I was trying to show that we could do a vampire on Channel 20. And this was the Halloween show for 1972. So since I was the producer of Bozo, I could put on anybody I wanted. So I had M.T. Graves on the show as this vampire who stole Halloween from Bozo. So there you go.
Oh, my God. That is great. Oh, that is fantastic.
Now, Midnight Syndicate, you know Midnight Syndicate, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Ed Douglas made a movie called The Dead Matter. And he said, Dick, I got to have you in this movie. And in the movie, Dick Dyszel, not the Count, but Dick Dyszel plays a teacher. It looks like a normal teacher, except he's in a school with normal looking kids, except actually it's a school for up and coming vampire kids. And he's teaching them how to become a vampire. And it's quite, there it is, Dead Matter. Yep. And it was called The Narrator, but actually I was the teacher in the thing. That was a fun movie, and it was a great experience. It was shot inside a former mental hospital in Ohio.
I'm going to get that. I got to get a copy of that. That's going to be cool. Now, just for my own shits and giggles, here I am on IMDb.
There you go.
Some of the films I've worked on.
Iron Sky. You were in Iron. You did Iron Sky.
I am the guy who did the graphic novel for the movie that sold the movie.
Really?
Yeah. And it's a really funny story because Miko Ratalaturi, it's a weird name. He is from the Netherlands. He is the writer, and he wrote the foreword, and he and it's a funny story of how I got involved with Iron Sky. He says, the fun thing about Gary is he just simply inserts himself into things. Because I went to them and I said, you need a comic book to promote what you're doing. And I'm the guy to do it. And that's exactly how it happened. Because I said, nobody can draw military stuff better than me. And
I love the concept. I just thought it was, I fell in love with the first trailer. I mean, I was like, oh my God, of course, one of my first novels that I ever read was Robert Heinlein's Rocket Ship Galileo, which in some ways, there were pieces of that. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but they go to the moon and they find Nazis on the moon. So it's like, okay, that was cool.
And if you go to Amazon, you can still get the book. Here, I'll share the screen. Present, share. And also, if I do, and I will put you in one of my books, I will send you a copy of the book too. So
you mentioned you worked with Bruce Campbell.
Yes, I've known Bruce for about 30 years. And I'm also one of the handful of people who shit on him with humor in person.
I will share with you my Bruce Campbell story.
Okay.
Horror Find was starting their horror conventions in the Baltimore area, and I was one of the guests, and Bruce was one of the guests. And the very first one was held at the Marriott at BWI, and Bruce and I were scheduled to do the costume contest, for which we had no format, no prizes, no hall, no sound system. And they just put us in the front lobby and they said, here, have a contest. So Bruce and I screamed out there. We both lost our voices. We successfully had this contest. We did this the second year. We had a sound system, but it was still in the lobby. A couple of years later, we're back. We're up at the Hunt Valley Inn. And he's a guest and I'm a guest. And I got to interview him and we're chatting and so forth and so on. But I got to like Bruce a lot. He's really a down to earth kind of guy. But we're going to do the costume contest, and I had a half hour between the celebrity room and actually getting in and producing this show. And so I needed to get something to eat real fast. And normally I don't eat in costume, but they didn't have any place to get anything to go. So I went to the restaurant and they said, we're full. And I went to the bar and they said, there's no place to eat here. But they had this table. It was in this little hallway between the bar and the restaurant. So, so I said, I don't care. Just get me some food. I'll sit here. I'll inhale it and get the heck out. So I'm sitting there all by myself on this table. And I could see the bar and I could see the restaurant over there. And I'm just sitting here. And so the food comes and I'm over here. And suddenly I see this shadow, this hulk coming towards me from the restaurant. And I'm going, oh, I don't need a fan right now. I just need to eat and get out of here and do the show. And suddenly I feel these two hands on my shoulder, these big hands saying, hey, Count, it's so good to see you. And it was Bruce. He said, I was in there in the restaurant. I saw you eating out here by yourself. I just had to come out and say hello to you. And I go, oh, it was good that it was you. Why didn't you invite me to your table? No. But yeah, I mean, yeah. I love Bruce. I would do anything to actually work with him someday. I mean, he's just that kind of guy.
Yeah, and he's actually done something recently because he's not retired, but he's kind of tired of working hard. So what he's doing now is working on pet projects, and he really likes the idea of working for Hallmark because he did his little Christmas movie a year ago Christmas, and loved it so much that he says, if I did that for the rest of my life, I would be completely happy.
Oh, wow.
It was the best experience he ever had. And, but I've gotten to work with him and I got to tell you, he really is a nice guy. He's funny. But I'm notoriously sarcastic. And so
I knew from time to time.
Yeah. And he's done it in front of me, My favorite was in Seattle, or it's not Seattle, Tacoma. There was a fan fest there, and he was there for Army of Darkness. It was the year Army of Darkness came out, and I was still in the Army, so I took leave and went to go see him. And this guy in the audience goes up to the microphone, and he's like, he says, "I don't understand. Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness are all sequels, right? But they don't work. I don't understand what's wrong with them. I mean, can you explain to us this?" And he goes, "Let me explain something to you. Clearly, the problem is the tumor in your head." And the guy's like, does the classic Arnold type thing, like it's not the tumor kind of thing. He says, "Well, something's wrong up there. Something's wrong up there. I get it checked." He's very sarcastic. I love that about him. And it cracked me up when he did that.
In 2009, I was at Comic-Con for the release of Every Other Day is Halloween. Oh, by the way, I should promote that, by the way.
Okay.
Every Other Day is Halloween was in 2009, C.W. Prather did a feature-length documentary on my career as Bozo Captain 20 and the Count. And it premiered at the AFI in Washington in 2009, and then we took it out to Comic-Con in San Diego in 2009 to premiere it there. And Bruce was there for what was that Miami show he did?
Burn Notice.
Burn Notice. He was there for Burn Notice. And I wanted to go see him at there it is. Every Other Day is Halloween. And it's just been updated. We've added a second documentary and an update onto this from 2009 to 2021. We did an update on what I was doing. And then there's another documentary on there with Dr. Sarcophagi, who's another Washington horror host, and some new commentary. But that really is a really good piece. I don't promote myself very well or much to a lot of
there people. You are as the captain too, right there.
Yeah, to a lot of chagrin, but it's a well done piece. Good music, good video, lots of great stuff. A lot of interviews with a lot of horror hosts from around the country. Yeah, that is. If you're into horror,
where is it available? Because they don't show where to buy it here, which is weird.
Really?
Yeah, it says add to watch list. That's just through IMDb, so it's not available on Amazon.
Yes, it is.
Oh, that is really weird that it doesn't have a link there.
Oh, that's true.
I'm going to have to go in and edit that because I'm an editor at IMDb and I fix their shit all the time. I get so annoyed with that. So let's go to Amazon, and I will see if I can find it real quick.
As a matter of fact, something about IMDb was interesting because when I don't go there very often. I mean, I appreciate it. I mean, I don't go for my own. I did look at my own listing, and I noticed that under Richard Dyszel, Every Other Day is not listed as. So I went back in and I edited it, and I said, no, I'm listed as being in it, and as you can see right there, but it's not on my IMDb personal thing. So that's
weird because your name is listed on there, so it should.
Well, click on Richard Dyszel.
Well, first of all, I found it on Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
Every Other Day in Halloween. It's available for Prime members to rent for $1.99, or you can buy it for $4.99 in HD.
I think the Blu-ray is also available too.
Let's go back and I'll take a look, see if.
But even if it's not, it's available from my site. So there you go. You can buy it from me.
Yeah, it's $17.99 on Amazon Blu-ray. Yep. So, yeah, if you go to his website, countgore.com, you can find it there. Great footage. Look at you, man, doing your own stunts. Oh, I love the drop-down chicken.
Here's Eleanor.
Oh, look at that old one. That's from what, 72, 73? The early makeup. Lost in Space Robot. Oh my God. You lived a great life, Dick. Oh, I swear to God. There's those Vulcaneers. I love them. God.
Steve Niles.
Yep. I'm friends with him. You know, he's from Virginia too.
Yeah. I am also friends with Steve.
Yeah. We met because I did the animated trailer for IDW on one of his comics, and we became friends. And it's really funny, by the way. I do want to share that with you. When I got hired by IDW, I was hired to make their animated trailers for their comic titles. Okay. And I'd been there for 2 years, and then Tom Waltz, who I served in the military with, was their senior writer. And he walked in and told the owner, the two guys in charge, Chris and Ted, and said, he's an even better artist than he is at video director and animator and composer. And they just laughed. He says, "Are you telling us he's one of those Renaissance men that can do everything?" And he's like, "Yeah." And so he went in the other room, got my portfolio, and I always joke, they fired me as their animator and hired me as an artist on that afternoon. It was really funny.
I
love IDW.
I just saw someone ask the question, do I have masters of all my shows? And I should probably say, when I left the station in 87, which was when they changed owners again. And you asked about what happened to Channel 20. They got bought out by another company called TVX. They went and they ended up going kind of bankrupt. And then it was bought out by Fox. Paramount bought it, and then Fox ended up buying the station.
Well, it's funny because they bought Channel 5 too, because that was our local Fox affiliate.
Yes, but 20 is not a Fox affiliate. And I don't even, frankly, I think it is still on the air. I should go. I'm here in Washington. I should try right now. I should try it out. But I think they're still on the air. But it's kind of like a sub channel. But it's not really a TV station anymore. At most it's a transmitter putting stuff out. I don't know what. But anyway, do I have the stuff? And that is, I have all the stuff that we produced from 1984 on, all the shows from 84 to 87. And then I have smatterings of the stuff from the 70s and the early 80s. Part of the thing was, you have to understand, back in those days, all the tape was 2-inch quad tape, 2-inch thick, big reels. The reels were so expensive. They were running $300 on a half hour that the station didn't library anything. I mean, Bozo had 10 half-hour reels of tape. We did 5 shows. They aired. We did another 5 shows. Then we recycled the tape and went around until the oxide came off. So no, we didn't. We have very little stuff from the 70s.
Okay, here's what I found. It is listed on your page. Every other day is Halloween, but you have to look under Self, because you have 10 references on IMDb for Self, and I'll show you real quick. I'll share.
I don't understand how that works. So
the IMDb changed how they do things, and I don't like the way they changed it at all. So let me pull it up here.
Well, let's not worry about it, because frankly,
but you are there, right here. There it is.
Okay, that's
your
fine.
page.
That's fine. That's all important.
So, but I wanted you to know they did do it. It's just because I'll fix it if they didn't, but they did. So, some questions for you. So let's see.
Quick questions.
WDCA is still around. It's a statement. DCA is still around.
Okay.
It's Fox 5 Plus now. Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. I saw some. That was IMDb question. There we go. That was the Masters question. Got that one. Has Dick ever met Elvira?
Yes, several times. I've met Elvira and I've met Cassandra.
The real person, right?
Because they are really now. Dick has never met either of them. The Count has met both of them. And I'm being very specific because, again, when Cassandra is at a convention as Cassandra, she's as Cassandra, not as Elvira. When she's there as Elvira, she's Elvira. And I do this. I have been doing the same. That's why the Count is always the Count at these conventions. But matter of fact, probably the nicest person ever to me was Jonathan Frakes from Star Trek. We had lunch at a green room, and he didn't bat an eye that I was there as this vampire having lunch across the table from him. Everyone else was not quite sure. Anyway, that's another story altogether. Yeah. Any other questions? Quick,
we got this one right here from Kingsport Cal. How do you, the Count, feel about modern day portrayals of vampires in cinema and written word today?
Well, I don't read a lot, to be honest with you. I'm one of these kind of guys. I'm a reader who likes to read in big chunks. I want to grab a book and delve into it for chapters and chapters and chapters and get involved with it. And I don't, my life, the way my life is right now, it's so scattershot, gunned, whatever. I can only read very short pieces, and I tend not to enjoy that. So when I go on vacation, I read books, and frankly, that I probably read more science fiction than I do vampires. I was not impressed with the Twilight novels. Period. What was the other one that was turned into a series on? Was it HBO? One of those. It was a Southern.
Oh, True Blood.
True Blood.
True Blood. I like that. I love the novels, and I like the show. I'm not critical unless it gets silly, unless it's intended to be silly. I didn't like the whole idea of sparkly vampires. That just
yeah. I feel you. In fact, my girlfriend said that. She said, just please don't go into sparkly vampires. I fucking hate them. I do have one more question for you because I know you've got to get going here.
Yeah.
It is from our good friend Tim. Here's my question. Where did you get the films to use on your show?
Which
the
show?
One you're doing now.
The show I'm doing now. My films are all public domain films. To the best, we try to research it the best as possible. And I work with other horror hosts around the country to try to make sure that our films are public domain and they're not going to get smacked down for copyright violation. It's tough because there is no one source that you can say that you can't even go to the trademark office and the copyright office because it's very difficult to sort it out. But we get public domain films. Now, that being said, I sometimes will get producers coming to me and say, hey, look, we just came out with this film. We're looking for some exposure. Can we show it on your show for a week or two? And the answer is yes. This past year, this is our 50th anniversary of Gore's first show and the 25th anniversary of our internet show. We were the first.
Happy anniversary, my friend. Happy anniversary.
Yeah, 25 years ago. That's hard to believe the internet's
been I've been watching you from the get-go.
And it's the fifth anniversary of our Roku channel also. So there you go. All right, but this year we've gotten some producers letting us show some of their films. For example, Don Glut let us show Tales of Frankenstein.
Donald F. Glut. Yeah, he's a friend of mine too. I love that guy.
There you go. We did show The Dead Matter, which was the Midnight Syndicate.
What did you think of his Frankenstein movie?
I thought it was good. I like anthologies. A lot of people don't. But that's.
I wasn't expecting it to be an anthology. That was my problem. I went into it with the wrong expectation.
I knew it was anthology going in. This weekend on CountGore.com, we're going to show Don Dohler's last film. We're going to talk about that. I'll stay long enough to talk about that. It's called Crawler. And I talk about it when I'm hosting it. I talk about a little of the history of it. And Dick has a cameo role in it as another corrupt mayor. I just have that.
What? No way.
Yeah, sorry about that.
What year was that? Is it a new film?
Well, it started production in 2006, and in 2009, it stopped because Don died. And here's the story. It's real simple. Don calls. He says, we need to do this film. We need to do it quick. We need to do it. And it's going to do a monster movie, much like the Alien Factor. And we're going to have a guy in a rubber suit, and we'll do this monster movie. Okay, fine. They're going to do the monster movie. The rubber suit doesn't work. The actor has an allergy to the latex, and a very serious allergy. So Don just says, forget it. We'll do it with CGI, and just keeps going. Well, this is 2008, 7, 6, somewhere around there, and he's got a Macintosh. Well, what happened was that Mitch Klein and some of the other folks involved in this production decided that they were going to try to finish the film. And they kept working on it. They kept changing software. Software kept changing. And they were still working with Don with Joe Ripple, who directed Crawler. He was doing more films down with in Time Warp. And it kept getting pushed back. Blah, blah. Anyway, in 19, they finally finished it. And it looks pretty decent. And they were trying to get distribution. They finally ended up selling it. You can buy it on oldies.com and I think on Amazon also. And so I finally said, well, I went to Don's widow, Leslie, and I went to Joe and then the rest of the cast, anyone involved. I said, it'd be really nice as kind of a tribute to Don. And in fact, it's my 50th anniversary and we had a lot of history together. Can I show it? And they said, yes. So it's going up tomorrow night at about 6:00. There it is. And it'll be on the show. It'll be up for 2 weeks and you can watch it. And then I show you where you can, if you want to get a copy, you can buy it or where you can stream it afterwards on.
So remember that, kids, it'll be on Count Gore Duvall at countgore.com.
Yeah. And by the way, my channels are commercial free, and they're they're free. There's no subscription required, so that's even better. So there you go.
Yeah, I've had your website bookmarked since the last time you were on here. So
he's a fan. I know you forgot that John was on the show because he hasn't said a word.
No, I see him down there. Yeah.
I tease him all the time. That's why he rolled his eyes when I said that. I always tease him about being quiet. But Dick, thank you so much for being here, man. I deeply appreciate it.
Wait a second. Let me get one more plug in, or two more plugs.
Right.
In November 18th and 19th, I'm going to be in Dallas, Fort Worth, in Irving, Texas, at the Irving Convention Center for a convention called Preserve Halloween. This is the second year they had me back, and it's a great convention. It's small, it's friendly, and it's a good facility, and we have a lot of fun there. So that's in Irving, Texas, at Preserve Halloween, and then I'll be back in Williamsburg in next spring for RavenCon, which is I did last year also. Oh, I got to tell you, you're going to enjoy this story.
Okay.
I'm in RavenCon. I'm as the Count. Okay. So it's Sunday morning, and you know how slow Sundays are usually at conventions.
They're dead. Yeah.
Especially Sunday morning. So in comes this guy with a hand truck. And on the hand truck, at the bottom of the hand truck, is this little television set, one of these little portable TV sets. Old one. And he's rolling it in, and I'm going, what is this? And he rolls up to me and he says, I want to talk to the captain. I said, well, the captain's not here. He said, well, the captain gave away this TV set on TV, and I won it. I won this TV set on Channel 20, and it still works.
Whoa!
And I looked at him and I said, may you be happy. Well, that's a prize space, buddy. And he goes, oh, the captain is here. And I said, I bet you wanted autographed. And he goes, how did you know? So I autographed the TV. And he was
Holy
so happy.
Smokes.
I said, my God, it's a little GE television. So I think the thing was like $59 when it was new. And it's like, great.
That is funny, man. My girlfriend said it was great meeting you, by the way.
It's this is why I've had a really great life. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better career. I mean, if I look back at if I could have picked a career and had planned it, I couldn't have planned it. I mean, it was basically pain-free, not totally, but mostly. And now I'm learning who the people are that actually watch me, because it was just me and a TV camera. And now there's people back there.
There's more interactivity, I know.
Yeah. And I do enjoy the people. I enjoy meeting them again. For the first time. I'm finding myself, at these live performances at the AFI, I now deal with live audiences, and I enjoy it. I wish I had done it earlier. So it's, tomorrow night I'll be at the American Film Institute with Fatima the Paradise, which is one of my favorite films.
Love that film. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that
classic.
Most people say, well, it's like the follow-up to Rocky Horror. No. It was a year before Rocky Horror that they did this. And
you might have enjoyed this. Yesterday we had another special Halloween guest. We had Frank LaLoggia, the writer-director of the movie Lady in White.
Oh, wow.
It's one of my favorite haunted ghost story films. And I've been friends with him for like 20 years. I love the guy. And we had him on and we talked about the film and the making of it. And it's just fantastic. And I got to tell you, just like because of, you inspiring me to do the things I do in my life, you're why I do this. Because I have fun doing this. And it's because of you again. You and Arch Campbell fucking changed my life.
I'll accept it's my fault.
It's your fault. But I do want to show you this. It's a little bit of showing off for me right here. This is a filmmaker, Josh Becker, Hercules, Xena, all of that. Plus, he was Bruce Campbell's best friend. They grew up together in Detroit. And I did all of his movie posters, except for the Alien Apocalypse. I did this movie poster, painted them all. And that's my Bruce Campbell one right there for Running Time. And I love doing artwork for movies, man. It's fun. It's a dead career. You hardly ever get work today because anybody who has Photoshop is considered a cover artist for DVDs and Blu-ray.
Yeah, well.
But occasionally they'll hire a real artist like me to paint a cover, and I love doing it. And Bruce likes me because I make him look good. He's on my official page. It's a Bruce Campbell quote. It says, Gary's artwork is groovy, baby.
Yeah, well, that sounds like Bruce. Yeah.
Yeah, he's funny. Anyway, thank you again, Dick.
My
much
pleasure.
for being here. And I look forward to inviting you again next Halloween. And I'm going to make it a religious ritual to have you on as close to Halloween as possible.
Well, then you have to build a little altar, some votive lives. But just remember, I don't want to be a martyr for anything.
I'm not dying for anybody's cause, baby.
And thanks all the people who came in to listen and watch this podcast, and thanks for the questions. I appreciate it. Come please visit me at my website. Email me. I'm on Facebook, let's have some fun.
Amen to that. Everybody reach out to him if you feel like it. Friend him. He is on the Facebook. Are you on Twitter?
I am on X.
You are on X. Because I don't think I follow you on there. I will follow you on there.
Don't bother.
You don't do much.
I do one thing a week. I put a promo up there once.
And that's it. Gotcha.
That's it. Although it was interesting earlier this year. I was working on my monologue for tomorrow night, and I was thinking, it's all about Halloween. I was saying, gosh, now that Elon Musk bought Twitter, he's going to go out and go tricking Twitter, but he's not Twitter anymore, so it's going to be Trickin' X.
Trickin' X. It just sounds like a porn site.
That just doesn't work.
No, it sounds like a porn site. It's just not right.
It's almost like was he doing porn stuff now?
What's going on with that? What's up with that? What?
Well, someday we'll have to talk about maybe not on a podcast about the Penthouse Girls, but that's another story altogether.
I could dedicate an episode just to the Penthouse Girls. I could do that. But anyway, Dick, and if you've got anything going that you want to promote, please let me know on Facebook. Message me, because we'll have you back on to promote it just any old time.
Sounds good.
We have shows 6 days a week, and we're always on. John does 2 shows a week. I do 3 shows a week. And Captain does 1 show a week, and Keith does his Thursday. And we just love talking film. We love talking about movies, man, and games. All right. God bless you, my friend. And thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Bye now.
Bye now.
So that was wonderful. That is wonderful. And I hope everybody had a good time because it was just so much fun to listen to his stories.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, he has just got so many, man. And I'm sure we've not unraveled very many. We still got plenty to do to talk about every time he comes on. Extra, what is that? Extra sounds like a porn site. Oh, Twitter Extra. I get you now. Hey, our Muslim uncle was here. Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, I never got to have like the horror host like you grew up with. They didn't have that around here. The closest they had was a disembodied voice for like Creature Feature and Monster Week and stuff like that. So
I still want to do it. I would love to produce a weekly or bi-weekly show called Renfield's Nightmare Palace and start showing those movies that are in the public domain. Because there's a lot up there, dude. That Steven Seagal found that website, and you can go up there. These are all movies that are available in the public domain. And I'd love to do shit like that. Although I'd probably get somebody else to play Renfield now, and I'd probably call him my buddy Mac because he's really good at impersonations. And because the whole joke of Renfield is that he suffers from multiple personality disorder, all of them famous. So he will slip into voices throughout the show. And the whole joke is that he can't change the channels with his hands because he's in a straitjacket. So he has to either use his toes or his nose or tongue to change the channel and pause it. And so whenever there's a break, it's because he hit the pause button. My bet you'll still get copyright strike for public domain. You know it. He still does.
Yep.
Dick just said that. YouTube's fucking ridiculous, man. Go to Rumble and BitChute. Won't fucking happen to you. But here, they hate creators now. They hate us.
Well, that can be done as an exclusive Rumble show.
That'd be a good idea. Also an exclusive through our Patreon.
Yeah.
Because once again, I do want to state it again. We do have a Patreon. We love to have your support on that because we are going to slowly work away from using YouTube's financial things, their memberships and all of it. I want to stop advertising their ads. I don't like them. They're constantly doing shit to screw the creators. Had a movie reschedule, and then the movie came on at that time. That's weird. What Trinatsky say? My bet you'll still get caught. Of course, on YouTube. Of course, YouTube will claim you. They've claimed me on my own music that I own all the rights to. Whoever claimed me doesn't have any rights to my music.
Yeah. I think this girl was talking about when I was talking about I only had the disinvited voice. She just had the TV schedule to go by. She didn't have like a host like I did or you did.
Jesus Christ. Look, man, I hate Hamas. I'm not going to talk any further past that, but I love the people. And they're the ones that are suffering to this group. Yep. And I'm glad our Muslim uncle is just a great guy, man. If you don't follow him on Twitter, you should be. Our Muslim uncle's a good friend. Love him. And he got a great sense of humor. He called out these, extremist groups. He called them out on Twitter. You did that earlier this week, as I recall. I think it might have been over the weekend you did it, last weekend. I just remember reading it going, there you go, man. There you go. Read by nature. It would be interesting to find public domain films that weren't transferred to DVD, streaming, etc. Yeah, because we are in an age now to when you can actually do your own cleanup. And I know how to do it. I know how to do digital cleanup on film. I just don't want to do it because it's time consuming. I like to get things done quickly. Be done. I got other things I want to do. What do I want to do? I want to play Call of Duty. I played Call of Duty before the show today to relax because I was stressed out this morning because, Anima was just like freaked out too because my glucose reader, I leave it on my nightstand, was gone this morning when I woke up. Like, where the hell is it? And I'm looking underneath the bed. I'm looking around the nightstand. I'm picking everything up, going, where the fuck is my? And I'm like, how am I going to? I have to have this, to keep control of my numbers, make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing with my diet. And I'm freaking out. 2 hours I spent this morning looking for that thing. And I had picked up my clothing basket, which was 5 feet away from the nightstand. 5 fucking feet. That's 3.5 meters. Or it's 1.5 meters, away from the nightstand. I had it sitting on the bed next to me the whole 2 hours. Finally, as I'm sitting on the bed, exasperated, exhausted, I'm panting and breathing hard because I've been digging and lifting things. And I'm sitting there going, what the fuck? And I reached over and I'm like, no fucking way. I grabbed the clothing on the top of the basket, lifted it, shook it, and I heard a thunk on the bottom of the fucking basket. And I pulled it out of the way. And there's my fucking meter laying in the bottom of the clothing. I'm like, how the fuck did it go 5 feet? I must have hit it or something and knocked it through the air. I don't know what I did. Or it bounced in there maybe. It's just really fucking weird.
Or you got a poltergeist.
No, I wish. The ghost did it. And which, by the way, for Halloween, I always, for years, I had a white monk's robe with a huge hood that covered my face, and I'd put on black makeup, and so you couldn't see me, like pitch black. So it just looked weird inside the robe that you couldn't see my face at all. And so go, and who are you? I said, I'm Cohen's ghost. Or what are you? I'm a ghost. And they said, what kind of ghost? Cohen's ghost. So I go, it's Cohen's ghost, my band. And I love it when people would run into me occasionally. I had it happen on Xbox. I was playing a game. This dude goes, what's up with your name? Because I'm Cohen's ghost on Call of Duty and Battle.net and all that, Xbox. I've had friends for 20-something years under that name, that moniker. And a guy asked me one time while we were playing, he goes, hey, are you named after the band? And I'm like, I am the band. I'm the band. I play all the instruments. And he's like, holy shit, I have your albums. He bought 2 of my fucking albums.
Cool.
So he goes, because Xbox used to be really great. You get into private chat and you could share photos and shit with girls, nudies. And he sent me 2 photos of his sitting in his car, in his car. He listened to them in the car when he's driving to and from work. Had both my CDs. He sent them to me, and with a self-addressed stamped envelope. I signed them and sent them back to him.
Cool.
I've never had that happen before. It was fucking cool. Yeah, she says she's getting nervous about sleeping with me. I don't. I raised children, and those kids want to sleep with their parents. My kids did all. Zoe would sneak in middle of the night to sleep with me, and I'd wake up all the way on the edge of the bed because she hogs the bed. She would kick me, and I'd end up on the very edge of the bed, sleeping like this on my side, hanging over the edge of the bed because she'd be sprawled out sideways on the bed. And all my kids did that. And she stopped doing it right at 12, right before she hit puberty. She suddenly was like, yeah, I think I just want to sleep alone. And I'm like, oh, thank God. I got my room back. But she was afraid at night. And she wanted to sleep with Dad. She knew she was protected. And then she was fine. And I'm fine with that. My ex-girlfriend thought it was weird. And I'm like, well, you're not going to be my girlfriend for long.
And she was.
I'm a parent. No, I broke up with her. It was really funny. I broke up with her over the phone while I was at my dad's when he died back in 2008. And she called me to bitch at me about the fact that she felt like she was coming in second. I said, what are you talking about? I'm a single parent. I come into in second place when it comes to my daughter's needs. Nobody gets picked before her, period. And she, well, I just don't think this is going to work. I said, I'm fine with that. Have a good life. Hung up on her. I got to bury my dad. I don't need to deal with this. Your ego. I cannot stand egos, man. But let's see some more comments. Awesome, man. And yes, Xbox was great. Actually met people I have friends on through Xbox that are close friends of mine to this day. We've hung out, we've met each other, driven across the country to hang out, spend the night. I've had some of them just drop by. Ryan, Richard, Michael, my God, so many of those guys. And you'll see this one, Carlos, on my Facebook page. He's on my Facebook page today, commented on one of my posts. That's Redneck Rampage, man. I've been friends with that guy for 25 years. We met playing America's Army. And he's a good old boy. Talks just like this. He goes, shit, man, I like you. I like the cut of your jib, boy. And he'll tell you, he goes, boy, I got to tell you, nobody could fuck with somebody on Xbox like Gary could. Oh, my God. He would just sit there and do voices, fucking with people. I'd talk like I was mentally handicapped. How are you doing? My name is David. This is not my game. I'm playing somebody else's game. Look forward to playing with you. And then I'd go into the match and just kill the shit out of everybody. Then at the end of the match, sorry I broke you guys. Can we still be friends?
And we've just been demonetized. Thanks,
I don't care. I don't care. They demonetized me over other things. My oldest sister gave me a lot of bruises when we shared a tent on. Oh man, kicking kids. Oh my God, Zoe would kick the shit out of me sometimes. People who don't have kids don't understand the lengths a parent will go to. Amen, brother. I went after a 17-year-old boy, 18-year-old boy one time. I was going to choke him out. He said something about my daughter's ass when she was 15 in front of me on the stairs there in Branson for VisionCon. We were going up the stairs and they were coming down the stairs. And the guy looked at my daughter's ass and said something. And I reached out and I grabbed him. I said, it's my fucking daughter. He goes, oh, I'm sorry. Goddamn right you're sorry.
It's okay.
With a broken neck.
And people, when they meet me, they go, God damn, you are huge. You're a giant human being. John's met me. He knows I'm a giant fucking human being.
I'm pretty sure I was at that VisionCon too. You
were. It was also, that was where I became friends with, oh my God, I just forgot his name. That died earlier from Brandon.
Oh, okay.
Because that was the VisionCon where he and I became very friendly with each other. Because I didn't want to do VisionCon anymore. Because I kept getting referred to as a local artist. I said, I'm not a local artist. I don't do artwork here. I live here and do artwork for people elsewhere. I'm an international artist. I work internationally. But then he's the one who explained it to me. He says, stop getting freaked out by that. It's a source of pride for VisionCon. But now I don't even want to do any of the cons anymore. I'm just tired of it. Maybe one day I'll do it again. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I had to miss this year's. Had my reunion, so I figured that's only coming around every 5 years. So I can go to VisionCon every year.
Well, VisionCon is one of the best cons going. But for me, I have to look at it as I did it for two reasons. One, to make a little bit of money. And you're not going to make very much. And to see my friends, because I have a lot of friends there. But then it hit this point with doing the show. I still see them. And in fact, I just talked to the Blanchards about coming on the show. Because a lot of people don't know this, is that in December, Gypsy Blanchard is getting out of prison. She was involved with the murder of her mother, Dee Dee. Dee Dee was a huckster. We didn't know it. She was telling us she was a 12-year-old in a wheelchair, that she had disabilities, when in reality, she was an older teenager and she was not disabled. And it was a form of Munchausen by proxy that she was doing to her. There's definitely some abuse going on. We know that. I'm sympathetic, but when she and her boyfriend murdered Dee Dee, that was a line I have a problem with. And don't hate her. I wish her the best in life, but I don't, she reached out, her and her husband reached out to friend me and to friend Pop Culture Minefield. And I just can't do it. I can't do it. The videos I have of her on YouTube, not made public. You will never see them. I only keep them there for posterity. And I showed Anima got to see a little bit of it. I just don't really care.
Yeah.
And there's no hatred in me towards her. I'm devastated by what was done to her by her mother. And Dee Dee had us all fooled. But they killed her, man. Stabbed her to death. And I'm like, nope, I got a problem with that. That is a line you crossed. If they had just left, gagged her, tied her up, I wouldn't have this feeling. I'd probably friend her again. But what they did goes beyond the pale. And so they reached out, and I'm not going to accept it. I'm not going to. It's not out of hatred or disdain. Like I said, I explained it was wrong what was done to her. But that was fucked up, man. That was fucked up what they did. And, I'll keep her in my prayers. I will do that. What's this? Is there a channel here or a channel on another platform where creators feel they can be free with words? Yeah, Rumble, BitChute. Problem with BitChute is HD not available. It just can't compete. Rumble's really kicking ass right now. And we are right now live on Rumble.
And Rumble will fight. Maybe fight is too a strong word, but they protect their creators.
They protect
their
us,
legal
right.
rights.
Yep, they don't throw us under the bus like YouTube does. YouTube absolutely doesn't give one shit about creators anymore. They started because of creators.
Well,
but once they started getting more commercial with networks and studios, fuck us.
They're not in France because France tried to censor them. So either you accept this or you are not allowed here. And say, well, we go. And the British government tried to pressure them to with the
I saw that
Russell
recently.
Brand thing.
Yeah, Russell Brand is free to speak his mind. The British are absolutely horrible right now. Britain is in bad shape. Canada's in bad shape. United States keeps trying to go that direction, but we have Americans who will stand up and be counted, and we won't tolerate
Australia is in bad shape too, man. Every Anglo-speaking country is in
a lot of trouble.
Well, yeah,
they're trying to destroy free speech.
We're gearing up for World War III.
Some sorts of speech or hate speech, and you shouldn't be able. Like, who decides on what's hate speech? Who gets to decide that? Because I say things that I know some people would call hate speech, but it's not.
There's no such thing as hate speech. It's just speech. If you don't like it, that's on you.
Yeah, if you don't like it. This is the great thing about free speech too, and Martin knows this.
There's this phrase that I like.
Free response. You have the right to a free response.
Oh yeah,
free speech.
Only if it's a non-physical violence response.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I got to tell you, when you say penal colony, they are a bunch of dicks.
Oh my God!
Hear that? Now,
well, there's a phrase
they are still a penal colony.
There's a phrase that describes this situation or this term that I completely agree with, and it is there is no hate speech, only speech that you hate.
That's what John said. Yeah, that's right. That's what John said. There's just speech. Martin, could someone clip from Rumble and send it to you to YouTube, and there be a problem? I'm just curious. They can't do anything. I wouldn't worry about it. It's just what's on YouTube. YouTube has a right to do whatever the fuck they want to. It's their platform. It's not mine. It's theirs. This might be my channel, my show, but it's on their fucking platform. And they can shut us down if they want to. And we would just go to Rumble. And that's why I want to tell people more about our
However, they couldn't be able because Section 230. As a platform, they don't have editing rights. editorial rights.
They ignore that all the time. It's going to take them all these court cases that are working through, like Missouri versus I forgot, is it Facebook? But there's one of them. But there's basically there's not legislation, but there's court cases now working through the court system that's going to disassemble and tear down Section 230.
Keith!
Hey, Keith.
Yay. There's another argument also that people don't often. It's not a matter of also speak. What about my right to listen to a person? What about my right to hear Gary's opinion? That's another thing that people don't bring up.
Yeah, it's a problem. Oh, did Keith pop in? What happened?
Yeah. Oh, I'm pop out again.
He might be having issues.
So this is our Patreon page. You feel free to sub to us. It is patreon.com/Pop Culture Minefield. And we have not been doing much with it. And we've got to, really as a team, we've got to figure out some good stuff for the Patreon members. And we need to do at least once a month a good stream on Patreon, just for Patreon members. And or even like a couple times a month, any time you feel like jumping on and doing something on there. And I'll get you guys the login information so I can either add you or have you log in on my account there, so you can all like be able to post stuff, because we can comment on it, post new comments. It's just something I have so much trouble with. Like members only live special, we did that one for Benghazi. It was fun.
Yeah.
And that was one of our live streams we did on Patreon. The YouTube channel anymore, it talks that people are more concerned with money than they are discussing art and letting people's personalities flow. Well, I think the problem is, it's like, look, doing these shows costs money. And it's like, we don't turn a profit at all with these shows. What we make so far pretty much just pays for things, and that's it. And
I'd argue that in the modern day, they don't even care about making money. The people that own these platforms care about the influence it has on culture. If they
No.
certain things wouldn't be the way they are.
I think Kingsport is referring to the content creators, not the owners of the platform.
Yeah, I agree with you, Vinkman's girl, on that one. Pray for. Yeah, I already read that one though, buddy. Pray for everyone to have enough extra cash to support all their favorite people. And it's nickel and dime stuff, but it all builds and it helps. And we appreciate everybody that's members and stuff like that. But we're eventually going to do away with the YouTube membership, because I just don't think that it's sustainable the way it works. They get too much of a percentage. YouTube does. They take too much out. And I'm like, really? PayPal only takes out 3%. You guys are taking more. They take more out. And I think it's ridiculous. That's Google. But if you want to check it out, because we need to all be posting there. I've been thinking about putting the official domain just to our Patreon and doing our blogs, and everybody should post a blog and sign it when they post it as to who it's from, on the team. Because Martin actually has more to say than he says, because he's nervous about speaking in English, because it is a second language to him and he has trouble. He stammers and stutters with it. But when he's writing, he has no trouble. And what's even better, he could write in Spanish and then have it translated to English. And then I'll edit it to make it make sense.
Well, that and the fact that what have we talking about here? If one expresses fully oneself, you get ganked.
They'll gank you. They will.
Oh yeah, I keep a lot of my opinions to myself.
As I said, free speech is already damaged. The fact that people are holding back in the first place tells you everything. And we know the topics. We know the things that you're not allowed to say. We know the opinions on certain conflicts that are going now that you can have no problem. But if you have the opposite, you'll get yanked.
Yep. And by the way, if you're not following Patrick here on Twitter, Patrick, would you share your Twitter if you want people to follow you?
I have it.
Because I follow it. Well, I don't know if he wants it shared. That's why.
Yes, we shared it on all.
Oh, you
shows.
did? Okay, go ahead, share it. Because I follow him and I love his posts, and I'm always sharing his posts out. I'm like, yeah, man, amen. He puts out some great posts, and whether it's political or dealing with law enforcement. And he's a sharp dude, man. And I appreciate him being part of our channel. But iDetective is something I'm not sure, but I think Chris started that. Another friend of mine. Chris DiPerno. And I love Chris. I want to get back on doing stuff with him, because even though we're not doing UFO Wednesday anymore, I love talking to Chris. He's a great person. John Brandenburg said he'll come on anytime. I would have him on. I'll have him on. We'll talk sci-fi. You know, John Brandenburg's just a fun guy. Check out my guest host gig. Amen, Patrick. So did you share it out? Yep, there you go.
Yes.
Follow him on Twitter, man. It's worth the read. Especially if you support some of the things that he supports, which I support. Yeah, it is Chris's show. I thought he was the one that started that. I'll pop in there. And it's like I'll be in the Facebook chat and I'll go, hey, I know that guy. And say stupid shit like that. I just think it's funny. Our own UFO show that I do with Don, Dark Matters for KGRA, which we're not allowed to show on our channel anymore. They want to keep it at KGRA. And but I am on there on Mondays, and I'll get in the Facebook chat and I'll go, this is a great show. I'm on it. It's so funny. So, but and we had a really good show this week, man. Man, we had a guest, a filmmaker who we friended on Facebook. We've been talking a lot. I like the cut of his jib. I like the things he talks about, subjects in his films. He was originally wanted to be a regular filmmaker, but he fell in love with doing documentaries. He's retired chief of the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. And he knows his shit. And what he does is really cool. Is he does this great, and I put that on his thumbnail, so it always says that. It says where the line blurs between entertainment and real life. And he breaks that down and shows you what inspired, or things that are similar to what happened in that film that may have inspired these incidents. Because he did a really good breakdown of Heat. And the story, the real story, is just as crazy as that fucking movie and intense. Now, it's not as big, like in a big downtown city, but that shootout happened between law enforcement and this gang. And it really did happen. He met that guy in a restaurant, just like Al Pacino did. But in real life, compared to the film, now Al Pacino played his character as if he was high on cocaine. You watch him. He'll change demeanor in the film. And that's because he felt that in those moments, his character should be high on the cocaine like the real cop was. And he'll get real, like, just bombastic in the scene. That's where Al Pacino's character is high on cocaine.
So but basically, he just goes Al Pacino.
Yeah, right. And but in real life, the guy was a cokehead, the cop. And he really did meet with that guy, and they had that exact same conversation that's in the movie. It's like, well, I guess the next time we see each other, one of us will be dead. Okay. I respect you. I respect you too. And they parted ways. And next time they met, the shootout took place and he killed him. Just like in the movie. Not in an airport, but that was for the film. And I loved what he did with that movie. I love the movie Heat. It's a really good film. And by the way, Marine Recon still shows that shootout, showing people how to do reloads, mag dumps.
Val Kilmer, right?
He did it better. Val Kilmer did a better job than most people do in the military. And it's just impressive what he learned to do in that film. Yeah, I love that movie. It's a great film.
It's about
and it's not always though. Yeah, it's not always in the film. He's not always high on cocaine, but they decided not to show him using the cocaine because they thought it would be distracting. So what he did is he subtly showed the difference of his character when he's coked up and when he's normal. Go back and watch that film. You'll see what I'm talking about. If you don't remember that, go watch his performance. Sometimes he's like fucking bombastic, and sometimes he's level.
I'm not a fan of De Niro personally, but he's definitely a good actor.
No, he's a fantastic actor. He's a douchebag in real life. But I heard the same thing about Al Pacino. I love that Friedkin was talking, and somebody asked him, he says, I don't give two fucks what Al Pacino thinks of the film I made with him. He was a dipshit. Everything he suggested was terrible. He's stupid. And I'm like, oh my fucking God, I love Friedkin. I love that guy. He does not pull punches about people at all.
Oh, he did love working with Tommy Lee Jones, and he was like,
absolutely. He said he has nothing but praise for Tommy Lee Jones, and just because he would come to him with good ideas.
Well, not only that, it's like he has no tolerance for like method. Like when he's dealing with, what is it? I think it's The Hunted with Benicio del Toro. He sort of writes this 300-page backstory for his character. Everything else, sees him the next day, goes, "Did you read it? Yeah, great, genius. Now do these things." He hadn't read a fucking word. He just did it to get him to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's the same shit that Sam Raimi would do. One of the things I like about
him. Sucks politics in the house.
Hey, Sucks. What's up, dude? Long time no see.
I don't know why I said De Niro. I was thinking Pacino.
Well, De Niro is a douchebag. I don't.
Yeah, he is.
On a personal level, I think he's scummy. But Pacino, I like his movies. My dad referred to him as the greatest actor of the 20th century. I don't agree with him. I felt that Brando was a better actor. But Spencer Tracy, Humphrey Bogart are up there too. Great fucking actors. Not just character actors. They were good actors.
Yeah.
Because Bogart could be fucking, he's scary. When he did that one film, man, where they take the family hostage in the house, that's an intense film. That is an intense film. They remade it years later with Mickey Rourke. Not very good. I prefer, what was that movie called? Now it's going to drive me crazy. Bogart film, take family hostage.
Over on Joe's channel, we've got
Desperate Hours. Oh. The Desperate Hours. Great fucking movie.
By the way, another fun fact about Heat. The way they knocked over the armored car at the beginning, there was a shit ton of copycats afterwards because they went, "Oh, that's a good idea."
You're going to get that no matter what, dude. You know, it's like somebody goes, "Well, people were inspired to kill from playing video games." No, look, people inspired to kill because they wanted to fucking kill.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, it didn't matter how they did it, where they got the inspiration to do the way they did.
Oh, no.
What's important is it was always planted there in their fucking head.
They're they're either evil or crazy.
Yep.
Oh no, my whole point was that they realized that was a really effective method of doing it. In other words, that's how good Michael Mann is.
I got to tell you something. De Niro in Cape Fear is one of the most horrifying performances I've ever seen on screen of a villain. He is horrifying. The worst casting in that film was Juliette
Lewis?
Yeah. She was too old.
Yeah.
I did not buy her as 15 at all. They should have got somebody who was lesser known and could act better, because I really don't think Juliette is that good of an actor. No. But I love the film. Max Cady. When he bit her fucking cheek off, I went back in my fucking seat from that. And I'm like, oh.
No,
that was intense, dude.
Not a lot of people realize, though, that is actually a religious movie. Like, he literally has a stigmata near the end of the movie. And
yeah, they do. Well, it's in Blade Runner too. I mean, he
Yeah.
literally puts a nail through his hand and has a dove.
Yeah.
Religious symbolism is always fun to see in film.
And it's a dove without being a John Woo film.
Yeah.
Yep.
A little before his time now, 1982.
Yeah. Wonder if that's where he got the idea to put doves in all his movies.
I don't know, but it's really weird. And you know what? I love the movie Face Off. I do. I love that film. But my God, somebody needs to go in and fix the fucking faces for the close-ups of the stunts, where it's clearly, obviously not John Travolta and fucking Nick Cage flying right at the camera. I'm like, why would you do that? I'm in a movie theater watching that, and it was obvious on the movie screen that it was not Nick Cage. And I'm like, we're now today in that age where you can go spend a few $1,000s and fix that on the permanent print. And so it's just.
So you would prefer they take their face
off.
I'll see you later, Shinatsky.
Having Shinatsky here is way too much punishment.
Hey, Cape Fear, the original, is a great film.
Oh,
and it's creepy as fuck. Mitchum, who makes an appearance, both Mitchum and Peck made appearances in that movie, cameos, and I love that. And they had dialogue in it too, not just cameos. They actually delivered dialogue. The original film with Peck and holy shit, that's a good film. And it needed to be in black and white.
Yeah.
Because I think in color, it was too much. It needed to be in black and white to kind of remove you just that one single cell away from reality. Because he's creepy as shit. It's one of his, he's played two villains in film that I thought just really were scary as shit, Mitchum. It was that film and the one where he's got the tattoos on his knuckles. Creature chasing those kids, gonna kill them.
What is that? I know which one you're talking about. I just can't think of the name of it right now.
Hold on, we've got the interwebs.
Yep. But I like it when remakes have callbacks to the original movie, either by having cameos.
Night of the Hunter.
Okay, yeah,
he's scary as shit in that movie.
Oh yeah.
And as a kid, that movie terrified me. Both films terrified me as a kid because he was so good. Yeah, Gregory Peck, I love him. He's a great actor. But man, somebody said, do you think he's a really good actor? I said, he's weird as an actor. But he's good in every film. But he's weird because he has the weirdest meter of speaking I have ever heard in my life. And his delivery, he is the Christopher Walken of earlier cinema from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. He had some of the weirdest beats in the way he talked. And even Anima picked it up when we were watching some of his stuff. I still have to show her the entire film, The Big Country, which is my favorite Gregory Peck film. It's my favorite William Wyler film of all time. I consider it the single greatest Western ever made, period. It's a period piece. It takes place in the West where the sea captain decides to buy land in the wild west of Wyoming. And Charlton Heston has some of the best scenes in that fucking movie. And it led to a bit of dialogue that was picked up and used in Ren and Stimpy in the Happy Happy Joy Joy song.
Really?
Where the Burl Ives looking singer says, I told you, dude, you didn't believe me. And that's from the movie. Burl Ives has to shoot Chuck Connors, his son, when he goes to shoot Gregory Peck in the back. And he sees him, catches him, and he draws him, fucking kills him dead. And he runs over to him. He just murdered his own son, you know? And he looked at him, he said, I warned you. Told you I'd do it. But you didn't believe me. He got the Oscar for that role. Burl Ives did.
Yep.
And it's an Oscar film. It is one of the greatest Westerns ever made. In my opinion, the greatest Western ever made.
And now all these
it had what was at its time the longest fist fight in cinema history between Heston and Gregory Peck. And At the end of it, it has one of my favorite lines by Heston. They're both exhausted for fighting, and it's a long fist fight scene. They're worn out. They're throwing and they're collapsing on the ground, and they're just sort of sitting there looking at each other at the end. And the whole thing got started because Gregory Peck goes up to him and says, "I thought I'd come to say goodbye to you." "All right," Heston says, and goes out there and they have a fist fight. And at the end of it, Heston's laying there exhausted, and he says, "You sure take a hell of a long time to say goodbye."
I'm always
Just
partial.
great fucking movie. Myself. George C. Scott, absolutely in my top list of favorite actors of all time. Top 10. I think he's even in my top 5. I'd have to go over the list again, but I'm pretty sure he's in the top 5. And nobody can rage like George C. Scott. Nobody.
We're fine.
He would just lose his shit on camera, and you were just spellbound by what was coming out of his mouth. Oh my God, I love George C. Scott. Fucking love him. What else do we have there? Any other comments? Do you think Peck killed Mitchum at the end? The movie leaves it ambiguous. Oh no, he killed him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he drowns. He's dead as fuck. And it was necessary, that the character do that, because for him it was always the letter of the law. He would, when you meet Gregory Peck at the beginning, he would never kill a man. That's the thing about him. And by the end of the film, he has killed this guy. Yeah, told you, Chichen. You didn't believe me. Why didn't you believe me? Yeah, happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, 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 happy. I love that song.
Yep.
Socks. We're doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. We're wrapping up now. This is the end. We went over by 14 minutes because we started a little late. I was waiting for Keith to show up, but he couldn't make it. He couldn't. His connection was just shit too when he got here. Fun show. Dick was a great guest. I love him as a guest. Yesterday's show was fantastic. If you haven't watched it yet, go watch it. We had Frank LaLoggia on for his film Lady in White. He had some great stories. The guy's a wonderful storyteller. I think he's just brilliant. And I love the movie Lady in White. I really do. And I have the director's cut now. And I will never lose that. That is a great version of the film. Much better than the theatrical. And I still love the theatrical. But anyway, we're doing great. We're going to wrap up here. You guys got anything you want to add to today's show, Dick Dyszel?
No, it's just great to see him back on here again. And I look forward to the next time because he always has some great stories.
He does. He really does. He's such an affable guy. He's just such a likable dude.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm so grateful that he friended me on both my personal accounts and the Pop Culture Minefield account. So we will always have contact with him. And I am grateful that we still have somebody old school like him still out there doing it, man. Go check his show out. He puts it out every 2 weeks. Creature feature on countgore.com. You can also subscribe to him on YouTube. It's at countgoredeval.com or at YouTube. Yeah. Just I fucking love that guy. And I want to thank everyone for being here. Tim for being here. FKHC 2005. Andy Morrow. Anima Confused, the love of my life. Peter Vinkman's fan site. Vinkman's Girl. Zax, a.k.a. Kyle. Dragon Ruse. Shinatsky. James Woodward. Jim Woodward, my childhood best friend. Him and Mike Beatty and Vic Armstrong, my 3 best friends growing up. And Deleted Scene, Stephen. Kingsport Cal. Patrick Jordan was here. I think he's still here. Small Time Republic, Penny, Read by Nature, and our Muslim uncle was here. Assalamu alaikum, my brother. And of course, Socks Bulletins. Love you guys. Thanks a lot for being here. John, anything you want to add before we go? I'm not going to interrupt you.
Tomorrow is In the Mouth of Madness.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
I'm kind of sad I'm going to miss it, but I'll be out of town because that's one of my honorable mentions for my favorite horror movies. So,
well, if there are any extra things you want, make sure to send me an email or a message to Martin for us to mention things that you had to say about the film.
Okay.
Shinatsky, anything you want to add, buddy? I will not interrupt you. Don't worry. I'm not setting you up.
At the moment, no. Just trying to get shit off the ground. We got some stuff going on. We'll hopefully be announcing soon.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot of research into the Lost Boys for us to do that prequel. And eventually we'll make our first contact with Warner Brothers. And Martin, anything you want to add? I will not interrupt you. Don't worry, dude.
Really?
No,
I don't have any more.
Did you enjoy today's show?
Oh yes, man! I enjoyed even the pre-recorded interview that you had last year or 2 years. Oh man,
it's almost 2 years ago. Yeah,
yeah, and he's a very lovable man.
He's just such a likable guy. He really is.
Yes.
He's always funny. I love the pictures that he posts of him and the pretty girls that are like always backing on him. They're like always like, they're like dressed all sexy. And I'm like, my God, the life that guy leads. But before we go, I do want to show our merch commercial. So I'll show that real quick here. Remember, we do sell merch and get t-shirts to support this channel. Boom, baby. You actually get something for your money, not just a dumb show. Good in this dangerous nerd shirt. Hi, my name's Tad. Tad. T-O-D-T, Tad. I like Pop Culture Minefield. Yeah. It's in the video description below. Yay. There we go.
If you buy one of our shirts, be sure to take a picture of it and send it to us. We'll post it on social media for you.
There you go. All right, guys. Everybody have a good Friday, and we'll see you tomorrow. All right. Bye.